Oh shit, I can't shoot no more. Oh hell. There we go. Made that one, but it got hit. No thanks. Come on, man. Skip it, you know what I'm saying? Hey. Hold up. I'm still trying to get right over here. My bad. Damn, look at the floor. I must have got an update or something. That is it. Dang. Bro. Kyrie too small. Uh-oh. Oh, and one. Almost. Hey. Finally got a layup. Or a bunny hop. That's what they call it. Damn. Fell asleep on defense for a second. Damn. Oh no. I still give it to me though. Kyrie trying to go off. Ah. Sheesh. All right, let me get this shit straight. I ain't even do it yet.
Let's keep it up.
Tournament. Damn, how'd he slip out? Hey. Slightly late every time. Damn. Damn. Damn, they trying to go crazy. Ah. Damn. Damn. Kyrie. Damn. Was it a through his legs bounce pass though? They're like, oh, he's passing now. Come on, I can't get a steal for shit. Damn. Jump too soon. Hell no. Damn. Hezzy. Defense. The one play. The cannons. Cannon. Damn. Come on. Damn, Kyrie. Ooh, shammed him. Sham sandwich. Oh, man. Oh. Oh. Oh, hold on. Come on. God, I ain't want him to shoot it, but we'll about to say we'll take it, but he missed it. Come on, I can't get a steal. I was going to the corner too, Draymond. Hey. Little. Okay. Sheesh. Man, Curry, bro. Bro. I gotta get mine back. I don't know if I can get it back. I'm too fucking around with the dribbles. Got script. Damn. Still trying to learn how to dribble. Come on, that's the easy one. Oh, traveling, huh? Oh, 3 seconds, okay. That ain't my fault. Come on, bro. All right, fuck it. Let's go. Chris Paul. Damn! Missing now. And one. Kyrie took it coast to coast. My dude sucks at defense. I just try to outscore everybody. All right, here. What, am I running out of energy? Hey! What the hell is this with the ball? Can we double? Or nah? Come on. About to say that can't go. Oh, I ain't get away from him enough. Oh. What is this, the third quarter? I can't shoot now. My team can't get rebounds. We tired. I'm motherfucking tired. I can't make that either because I let it go too quick. Kyrie trying to go crazy. Oh. Come on. He wasn't trying to let me shoot though. I gave him that. Damn. They showed that highlight for Kyrie. That's funny. A strong layup was the play of the game. Put me in the game, coach. Damn. All right, let's try to do some cerebral 2 minutes. Fuck. Come on. Open slightly early. That was my fault then. God damn, who got Kyrie? Chris Paul. Oh, he tired. Hey. Come on, I can't make easy ones no more. I'm tired. Kyrie making his though. Let's see if they let me. Holy shit, it hit him. They definitely wasn't gonna let me post up with Kyrie. Hey, I'll take that though. Little hop jumper, space creator, you know what I'm saying? Damn! Ah, he kicking it out. I can't get the rebound or block the shot. Well, I didn't want to block it. It would have been nice though. God damn, bro. Let me get through. Kyrie. Oh, I tried to do that shit. All right, I gotta press X first. What? Ah, come on. Get the ball, bro. Ooh. Hey. Finally hit 60. Double screens. Another one. Oh, he got me up. What the fuck? Oh, go get it. What a buzzer beater. I'm surprised he even finished it low key.
Good stuff.
They don't usually like to score at the end of the game like that.
In the process of his generation, man discovered that he inhabited a kind of surface zone on what we call the face of the earth. Beneath him was a strange subterranean world, which his early fantasy stratified and divided into mysterious compartments, as explained or expressed in Dante's concept of the Inferno. Above this surface upon which man dwelt extended the great vistas of space, and the human being regarded himself as suspended between two extremes, with which he was constantly challenged. He tried to survive and succeeded, gradually in his labor of conquering his immediate environment and securing a certain temporal safety for himself and his kind. Yet he remained forever intrigued by his universal orientation. He recognized that in some way he could descend into something less or ascend into something higher. He realized that he was in a middle world. The ancients called it the Middle Garden, overshadowed by the Olympian heights where dwelt the gods, and preserved and protected from the mysterious forces of a lower region. To this lower region, the Greeks assigned the deity Hades, later the Latin Pluto, lord of wealth and of death. And to the upper region, he assigned spirits, from angelic beings upward to the very throne of deity itself. Continuing his analogies with such faculties as were gradually evolving within himself, man also began to contemplate the orientation of his personal life, as this is signified by the body which he inhabits. He discovered that within his own nature was a miniature of all universal procedure. By his own nature, as a human being, he inhabited the middle region of his own nature or of his own constitution. He was not merely a body moving about. He was a body directed by forces within that body. And gradually he came to know these forces as his mental and emotional incentives. He also accepted that behind, beyond, and above his own personality, there was something else, something that corresponded with the gods. And he began to develop his theological concept, which divided the universe into three parts: heaven, earth, and hell. The philosophic Greeks clarified man's concept of these regions, explaining them philosophically and psychologically. Heaven was the supreme or superior state of things. Earth was the normal sphere of human interaction. And hell was an underworld, not a material world alone, but a world of things living below the level of rationality. Thus, minds inhabited Earth, really. Bodies inhabited the underworld. Spirits abode in the supreme region. A man's own constitution, therefore, had three homes or three places of abode, according to the level upon which man was examined. Gradually also there came into recognition a struggle for orientation. In some way an equilibrium must be maintained. If man developed too many abstract qualities, he lost contact with the human world of things. If he permitted himself to fall below certain levels of action, he found himself also isolated from other creatures of his kind. He did not maintain a standard of integrity suitable to his needs. How he was to interpret these problems gradually became of increasing concern to him. And he began to realize that his primary problem in balance was the balance of an inner and outer life, the balance between the invisible and visible elements of his own nature. Obviously, this balance was made difficult by one environmental circumstance. The world around man he can see, he can touch. He is in constant contact with physical phenomena. And it was almost inevitable that he should associate reality with tangible things. Thus he was impelled by his own experiences and by the faculties of his sensory gamut to orient materially. He became increasingly aware of the advantages of physical adjustments. He found these advantages in terms of comfort, physical security, creature complacency. He also gradually learned that by various adjustments with physical environment, he was able to conquer certain phases of the world around him. He was also able to improve or increase his own economic capacity. He found that he could accumulate wealth, that he could attain distinction, that he could cultivate fame, that he could hold honorable position in relation to other human beings. He could be a leader or a follower, according to his own native resources. Thus he had many inducements, immediate and obvious, to extend his researches and his endeavors downward into his material environment. He gradually came to know, however, that his constant observance of physical things also penalized him. He came to realize that his success as a physical being depended upon the cultivation of things unseen. The respect of his fellow man was not held by his strength alone or by his cunning. There were other attributes which his associates recognized and regarded. One of these was wisdom, arising from some deep hidden source. Another was courage, which could not be truly cultivated unless man had internal resources available to him. Also, there were abstract kinds of creative mentality, which gave rise to arts, advanced music and literature, and finally united to form the massive structure of religion. Thus man came to know through his experience that he must balance internal intangible with external tangible things. He must maintain this equilibrium between himself as a source of creativity and as a physical creature found within the span of time and place. Working these problems through, contemplating upon them through ages of gradual maturing, the human being ultimately came to believe and to feel out of experience that his greatest power lay within himself, that in some mysterious way he must be led by an invisible element in his own composition. If he was not so led, he was without direction. And without direction, even his physical advantages were not completely meaningful to him. In gradual contemplation, therefore, he began to recognize the importance of this leading power within his own nature. He began to analyze it, try to understand it, and finally, he summed up his concept in the term soul. He came to accept that the body was an instrument of the soul, an extension of its purposes into his mortal life. Without this soul, without this creativity, without this internal dynamic, he labored in vain. And he also lacked the stability of character, the integrity of purpose, which could give him incentives for physical attainment and achievement. He began to realize that unless he patterned his world, unless he organized and arranged the resources around him to some purpose greater than the mere satisfaction of body comfort, he could not ultimately live with himself. Now, in the building of this soul nature, or the recognition of it, he realized further that as the body grows, man as a being grows. Evolution, operating upon the external of things, stimulated internal. And he began to question strongly whether the laws governing him governed body primarily or governed this psychic self within him. And philosophy impelled him to regard it as most probable that the incentives of the vital resources of man are communicated to the body from this intangible but very real source of consciousness within his own compound. It also became important, as we have heard on a philosophical level, that the best should lead the rest. This is a statement of one of the old Greek sophists. He applied it primarily to politics. He declared that state to be best governed in which the noblest led, and those less enlightened.
Get back to that in a second. But let's check this out real quick.
Everybody knew that Puff took Tupac blueprint and changed Biggs and Bad Boy in image. Everybody knew that Puff took Tupac blueprint.
Sheesh.
Everybody knew that Puff took Tupac blueprint and changed Biggs and Bad Boy in image. I Get Around. I Get Around talked about how fly you was, how many girls you mess with, how many cars you drive, how much money you got, what you willing to do. He took his image. Pac was the first one on the scene wearing Versace shirts. went and got the same Versace shirt Pac had.
That's funny.
Which, all right, some dudes would do that. You would never catch me wearing something else, something that somebody else got. He was knocking down all the women that he thought Pac was knocking down. And what
That's
I
crazy.
mean is having sex with them. Why would you want to have sex with women you know for sure a dude that was once cool with you was dealing with? That's that image. Because you got to realize, bruh, Puff and Pac was cool at one time. We
Right.
know this. Mopreme said that they was going to sign the Bad Boy. So if he's going to sign to Bad Boy, it was because of Corey and them. I put that picture on the internet. I put the picture on my channel of Corey Jones. Is Corey Jones, Corey Jacobs? I think Corey Jacobs and Pac right next to each other. Those was the real bad boys of Bad Boy. You understand? Those are the ones who got the 16 to life sentence. That Pac was gonna go and be with them first. But then Mopreme said, when it became just Big and Puff, because Corey and them went to jail, he changed his direction. But nobody know why Pac and Puff fell out like they did. You understand what I'm saying? Nobody know why. But Puff had an obsession with him for whatever reason it was, because he started wanting to act. He started wanting to rap. He had an obsession so bad that at his Grammy Award winning speech, he used the same speech that Pac used.
That's crazy.
That shit is crazy.
He was obsessed.
So when I say I'm obsessed with talking about Puff and telling y'all the truth, who's obsessed with who? Pac had Sarah before Puff. Allegedly he had Sally before Puff. And Kim had an obsession or liked Pac so much, she on the red carpet with Tupac shirt on. Who's obsessed with who?
So you believe Diddy, he only got with Sarah Chapman because Pac, he had her at one point.
And it was a bet in the office. Sarah was messing with an NBA basketball player. Puff bet all the niggas didn't believe that he could get it within 2 weeks. $100.
That's it.
So she actually was a $100 bet that he got.
And who was the NBA player?
I think it was Gary Payton, allegedly.
GP.
That's what he
Allegedly.
said. Somebody said, she messed with Gary Payton? I bet you I get it. I bet you I have it within 2 weeks. Me and him and Sarah went to this party in Chicago that he was hosting with the Streets Entertainment. And we went to the store called Cranberry and it's one of those
It's all right,
stores
we believe.
like
It's all good.
you get fragrance and you get candles, colognes and stuff like that. It's called Cranberry and something. And from that point on, you got her. But you gotta realize, Misa and Kim was friends. He
Right.
took Misa and Kim was friends. He started dealing with Kim over Misa. Kim and Sarah was friends. I mean, hand to hand, pots and pans. They was close. They all used to, Sarah Kim and this other girl. I think she was from Atlanta. What's her name? It missed me right now.
Right.
But they all used to hang together. So then he went from Kim to Sarah. He like to do the friend thing.
Damn.
Look like that.
What it look like? Come on, man. I ain't having no time. That's what it looked like, he said. Hope Daddy going in lately.
Two more victims came forward accusing Diddy of abuse. One of the victims, alleges that Diddy and Aaron Hall took turns raping her. When you hear stuff like this, you not surprised, son?
Not at all. Not at all. I seen I had to take a second to really reflect. And I wanted to see, did I see these kind of things in his actions when I knew him or when I was around him?
Right.
Did I see him have those bursts of violence? Just not on, you'd be like, he did it. If you've seen that, it was another video. He won some, he just over cocky. That's why he got fired from Uptown. He's over, what do you call someone who's overly confident? To the point to where it's called arrogance.
Oh, okay, yeah, there you go.
Right? He's arrogant. Nothing wrong with being arrogant, but when you're arrogant and you do it in spiteful ways, then so when I seen that and I reflect and I'm like, man, I do remember seeing him be being physically violent towards females. I seen him be physically violent towards producers, other record execs, even artists. Always those kind of stories, man. But those stories are seen from the inside out, not from the outside in. So it's just like sometimes you can tell, as a man, you'd be like, look, we're gonna need a fair one, or we a one-on-one, a fair one-on-one, and we fight as men so we can come to a resolution, right? So sometimes we fight as men, but you see that sometimes they fight. They keep fighting. They fighting with women. They fighting with people. They fighting with love. They fighting with they self. I seen him fight with his own self. I seen him be violent to his own self. Forget anybody else. I seen him beat his own self up.
Wow. What you mean by that?
Meaning you putting yourself through so much stuff, you beating your own self up, you bringing yourself down with whatever kind of things you need at that time, whether it be alcohol, whether it be pills or whatever it is that you need. Sometimes people get addicted to pills. And when they get addicted to pills, that it alters the ego.
Yeah.
All of that kind of stuff, devices. I seen it all, man.
And you said that you seen him get physical with his own artists?
Meaning like producers, mainly the hitmen. Mainly the producers. And what I mean by physical, it'd be like sometimes it might be a physical fight between him and someone else. Damn. And you say, wow. You're fighting even with your own artists. You're fighting when you go home. You're fighting with people in your office. You're fighting with your girlfriend. You're fighting with me. You just want to fight everybody, don't you? And that's what, when you think of that name, that might be what he defines bad boy. It's really about that energy that he feels like what makes him. That's what makes him. I always seen violence in him, man. Not only so we can say females, yes. I seen him violent with women. I seen him violent with dudes. I seen him try to be violent with me. That didn't work. It didn't even go as far as you could throw me. 'Cause I'm a grown man. I just how you talk to me, and all of that. You know, I respect you, you respect me back. If you have a problem respecting me, I have a hard time respecting you. I don't care how much money you got. Money don't mean nothing to me. You know what I mean?
Right. So I want to backtrack to a comment you made earlier. You said that Diddy, he was phone tapping Kim Porter's phone.
Damn.
Can you go more into detail about that?
Yeah, but it was the other day they just did a whole thing with the girl that he was dating was the one that was putting the wiretaps and all of that out. It was a clear case. She came, hey, I was the one who was doing the wiretaping and all of this, right? The tapping. So I knew about this before she came out and said that she was the one that was doing it. I was sitting there like, damn, he know everything she doing.
Damn.
He know her conversation. I'm sitting there like when I'm sitting there right there next to him when I'm hearing them saying, this is what Shakira Stewart was saying to Kim Porter on the phone that made him mad. That made him so mad at Shakira Stewart when he went to L.A. Reid party, hit him with the chair. You don't think if he hit a man with a chair for dating this girl, you know, they gonna have a fight at home too.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's why, you know, they say he busts her nose up on the boat. And have you ever been to Sandro Pay's see a brother play a mandolay? Remember that was in his song? I need a good woman next to me. So then it happened in what was it, Sandro Pay? Like that island. And then he bust her nose. They tried to make it seem like she slipped and fell. She slipped and fell and broke her nose. Nah, the truth was she slipped and fell and landed on his fist. Yeah, but that's what happens when you put your hands on females. I don't really have much respect for a man who's physically abusive towards women, man. I kind of think they be kind of suspect. I'd be like, man, you know, I girls fight girls. Men fight men. Men fight big problems. Women ain't one of your problems you should have, you know, especially if you got money, you rich. How you gonna be rich and still beating your girl up and you rich? Come on, man. You rich. You supposed to have everything you want. Go ahead. Let's.
Speaking of suspect, because you made a few comments about, you know, Diddy being suspect. Is he? Is he suspect? Is he in the man or?
To me, this getting naked around another man is suspect. Because how do you sit there and look, you butt naked, him and Aaron Hall sitting there, what they comparing meats? It's like, come on, that's suspect right there, right alone. Because you be like, I'm not going to sit here and make love, because even though we could label it having just sex, I was never the kind of person that just got off into having sex. I was into making love. You know what I'm saying? The art of that. And I never made love to a woman around another man sitting there watching masturbating. You know what I'm saying? So maybe the whole everything was just wrong. This the whole even getting naked around another man and still be having the ability to stand erect. Something is wrong. My joint is shrivel up just like that. You be like, what's wrong? What the fuck is he doing?
Right.
What's he looking at?
You
said he looking at you. Oh, come on, man. That's very suspect. It's very, I could never get off by seeing another man sleep with my lady. Cause if that's not my lady then. But you know, once you get that money and then you lose that respect, first you gotta think about this. Is he sleeping with the help? He's sleeping with the help. Now you did this to your artist, bro. This is somebody who came to you to ask you for an opportunity to help them grow to become something, and you sleeping with your artist. Number one downfall right there. You're sleeping with the help.
Damn.
And then what makes you want to sleep with the help? Control. I just want to have total control over this individual. I want them to know that I'm the one that's over them. I'm in control of their soul. I can make them. I can get them money. I can take them and show them around the world and still whoop their ass. That's crazy. Right. That's insane. That's insanity, brother.
He going in on Puffy. Shiny suit, man. Got some motherfucking skeletons in his closet. Damn. But everybody do apparently. Yeesh. Let me get back to my philosophy real quick, man. Hey, hold on. Can I find it? Here it go.
As the simple wisdom to follow in the ways that were best. Applying the same thing to man as a creature, it became obvious that in man the best must lead. And the best part of man was that part which was the source of his dreams, the source of his inspirations and ideals. Thus man must be led by the best level of his own understanding. It also became rather evident that this best level was not a static thing that remained always the same, but was itself constantly changing, growing, unfolding, and enriching. It therefore seemed right and proper that man should cultivate the invisible part of himself, just as assiduously as he cultivated his material faculties and powers. In order to gain skill in a certain art or craft, he disciplined the body, usually under instruction. Perhaps he became an apprentice to some person who excelled in the particular art in which his own interest lay. And through association, through observation, and through reflection, he became endowed with the abilities of his teacher, and thus became capable of a career of his own. This problem of assisting the best to lead, therefore, not only indicated a recognition of what was best, but a cultivation of the best, in order that it might continue to lead, and that the body might never catch up to it, or surpass it, or take over those forms of government which belong essentially to the soul rather than to the body.
Damn.
It then seemed, and it still seems, advisable and proper that man should cultivate by intent, by purposeful endeavor, this inner life of his own. Because from within this inner life came a maturity of impulse, capable of forever directing the objective person into better ways, into the fulfillment of higher convictions. He then also observed that man as a compound exists of two interesting values. One is conviction, and the other is the means of its attainment. The conviction came from within.
Let's keep it up.
The means for its attainment were supplied by the environment. Thus, environment was not important primarily for itself, but because it gave instruments for the expression of conviction, of internal determination to accomplish certain ends. A life that is not strengthened by convictions is a drifting life that leads us from one emergency to another, or a purposeless life which bores us from the cradle to the grave. It is absolutely indispensable that every person have a job, and that this job primarily shall be within himself, and all external and material things shall contribute in some way to the satisfaction of the soul.
Hold on for a second. Let's get this one in real quick. Let's see what I got.
Once you've done your due diligence in deeply researching both heliocentric and geocentric cosmologies, the idea that Earth is a globe, tilting, wobbling, and spinning, with magical bendy oceans, and upside-down people in Australia, soon becomes the most absurd and far-fetched concept. You start to wonder how you could have ever believed it in the first place. The main reasons are because everyone else around you unquestioningly believed it, and it was originally introduced to you around the same time you were being introduced to Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy. Cartoons and imagination were your reality at the time, and imaginative cartoons like these Earth globes capture and captivate children's minds. As if under a stupefying spell, many adult children steeped in confirmation bias, unwilling or unable to exercise true skepticism, remain forever duped by NASA's Freemasonic charade. Words are produced by spelling, and magic is produced by spells. Words are truly magical in the original sense of the word magic, meaning to influence people by using hidden natural forces. The words we choose, how, when, where, and why we speak them, all have various effects on people and events around us, just like casting a spell. Cursing, for example. Curse words are negative spells, which can be mentally or emotionally scarring for some, when cast with enough intention and intensity. Even to write, W-R-I-T-E, is a homonym of write, R-I-T-E.
Oh, we got it. He cooking. We got to start it
Once
over.
you've done your due diligence in deeply researching both heliocentric and geocentric cosmologies, the idea that Earth is a globe, tilting, wobbling, and spinning, with magical bendy oceans, and upside-down people in Australia, soon
Oh,
becomes
hold
the
on.
most absurd and
My motherfucking
far-fetched.
controller died. Jeez, we'll get back to that in a second. Give me a second, though. Where the fuck is this? No, just fine. I got it. Trying to plug it in. Alright, there we go. We almost ready now. Hey. Look, see, I'm not lying. They got a free duck. That's some bullshit. Alright, whatever.
Once you've done your due diligence in deeply researching both heliocentric and geocentric cosmologies, the idea that Earth is a globe, tilting, wobbling, and spinning, with magical bendy oceans, and upside-down people in Australia, soon becomes the most absurd and far-fetched concept. You start to wonder how you could have ever believed it in the first place. The main reasons are because everyone else around you unquestioningly believed it, and it was originally introduced to you around the same time you were being introduced to Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy. Cartoons and imagination were your reality at the time, and imaginative cartoons like these Earth globes capture and captivate children's minds. As if under a stupefying spell, many adult children steeped in confirmation bias, unwilling or unable to exercise true skepticism, remain forever duped by NASA's Freemasonic charade. Words are produced by spelling, and magic is produced by spells. Words are truly magical in the original sense of the word magic, meaning to influence people by using hidden natural forces. The words we choose, how, when, where, and why we speak them, all have various effects on people and events around us, just like casting a spell. Cursing, for example. Curse words are negative spells, which can be mentally or emotionally scarring for some, when cast with enough intention and intensity. Even to write, W-R-I-T-E, is a homonym of rite, R-I-T-E, meaning a sacred ritual or solemn ceremony. The word grammar actually comes from the Latin word grimoire, which means a book of spells. Therefore, to spell a sentence quite literally means to sentence someone to your spell. There are serious subconscious, emotive, and even propagandistic consequences to the words we choose to spell into existence. Adding an S before a word turns it into a long, sharp weapon that can kill. Or by adding an L inside, you can create a whole world from your word. The Bible even goes as far as saying in John 1:1, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." George Orwell's 1984 also illustrates the importance of words with his concept of newspeak, whereby simplifying and removing certain words from common usage works as a type of mind control. Without the proper nomenclature to formulate complex ideas in our minds and clearly express them to others, they become literally unthinkable and incommunicable. So being impeccable with your word is of paramount importance, as stated in the first principle of the Kabbalion and the first of the 4 agreements of the ancient Toltecs. Always be impeccable with your word. That means having integrity by saying exactly what you mean and meaning exactly what you say. We must spell into existence only that which we intend to manifest. In order to do this, it is incredibly important which words we choose. As confident, adamant knowers of our true cosmology, there are certain word choices that need to be changed to remain consistent. For example, heliocentrists constantly use the words globe, global, planet, and planetary when referring to Earth. They will often mock geocentrists by asking us things like, "Aren't there flat earthers all around the globe?" Instead of using the words globe, global, planet, or planetary, flat earthers should say the words plane, world, earth, or realm. Always intentionally replace the word global with the word worldwide. Saying across the world instead of around the world better brings to mind a plane. And the word round is too ambiguous to use altogether, as both a circle and a sphere are round. Another ambiguous word is universe. This tends to bring to mind the infinite space and planets from the heliocentric model, but technically is just another grimoire spell made of the words uni, meaning one, and verse, meaning word. The one word, or one world, in this universe is Earth. So this term is certainly redeemable, but unfortunately currently still maintains its heliocentric connotations. Galaxies, black holes, nebulas, white dwarfs, red dwarfs, blue dwarfs, and all other fantasy space dwarfs should be kept for role-playing games and left out of scientific vernacular. Space obviously exists as a result of living in 3 physical dimensions, but the concept of outer space, as promoted by NASA and the other so-called space agencies, does not. As the Red Hot Chili Peppers sang, "Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement." So instead of saying outer space, try using words like the sky or the heavens. Instead of the solar system, you can say the earth and sky, or the heavens and the earth. The word atmosphere is a tricky one, as it contains the word sphere. If the flat Earth is actually covered by a dome firmament, as some believe, then referring to the solid vault of the sky as atmosphere could still be correct. Some flat earthers have suggested changing it to the atmosflat, or flatmosphere, which is fine informally, but rather silly, not very practical,
Right.
and sure to be misunderstood. For
Definitely.
contestable words like this, or space, or the South Pole, I like to make finger quotations when speaking, or to insert the words alleged, or supposed, or so-called before saying these words, to make it clear to the listener that they should remain skeptical of the concepts being described. I also like changing the word astronaut to astronaut. Lastly, the word gravity comes from the Latin gravis and gravitas, meaning heavy, weight, and seriousness, is now being used by supposedly scientific minds to denote a mythical magnetic-like force allegedly existing in all objects, like a universal love potion, causing everything in existence to be irresistibly attracted to one another. But since even the Burj Khalifa cannot be shown to attract a single dust bunny a fraction of an inch, there's not a shred of demonstrable evidence to believe in this gravity, and no reason to speak it into existence by using the word when others are far more suitable. Objects fall due to their own weight, heaviness, and relative density compared to the medium surrounding, so using terms like these are more appropriate. When we purge our vocabulary of these fantasy words and concepts, then adjust to using more literal, factual replacements, another advantage is that it acts like a subtle calling card for fellow flat earthers. A friend of mine recently listened for hours to a notable speaker, and throughout the speech heard a distinct lack of heliocentric language, along with frequent use of keywords and phrases such as plane, realm, across the world, and sea level, making her wonder if they may be a geocentrist, a fact later confirmed in private correspondence. So not only does a careful reassessment of our language result in speaking more factually, but also signals to other conscious individuals that we are on the same wavelength. By refusing to cast these heliocentric spells to the malleable masses and choosing our words more carefully, this allows the spinning globe and its dizzy globalist propagandists to continue exposing themselves, while we remain still and solid on fixed, level ground.
The floor looks cool. Hey, got one to go. First shot. Hey, another one. Damn. That's what I'm talking about. I knew I was getting that. Curry. Hey, let me get that too. Oh. Hey. Damn, he's fast. Hey, too easy. Playing a computer though. Hall of Fame, bro, it doesn't matter. Oh shit. All them settings just make it harder for you to shoot. The computer don't change though. Damn. I can't play defense. My dude is ass. Let's see what Manly P. Hall got to say.
Individual who is expressing himself, who is moving toward those values which he already perceives to be real, is dedicated. And because he is dedicated, he is eternally busy. And he also has a vision of things worth doing and incentives to accomplish them. On a more psychological level, we have reformed some of these terms, but not essentially the context or the substance involved. In psychology, we hear a great deal about the pressure of environment upon the person. We know that he is modified and changed by environmental circumstances. But we also know that man shares a common environment. The same clouds move in the heavens above all men. The seasons alter around him. The earth has its periods of fertility and sterility. Everywhere, human beings inhabit one grand environment. That part of environment which is more specialized and which may become the source of specific pressures or conditioning forces is man-made. Man must not only get along with the world, must get along with others of his own kind, and he must also get along with himself. He learned long ago that until he knew how to get along with himself, he could scarcely exercise any successful management over other affairs. So we have the famous biblical statement that it is the greater victory to conquer self than it is to take a city.
Right.
This problem of trying to conquer self was more or less difficult for primitive man. It did not mean that he had to attain mastery over his soul. That was not his purpose or his end. His end was to gain identity or contact with his soul. And to do this, he had to overcome shadows, negations within himself. He had to overcome ignorance, superstition, and fear. He had to integrate a relationship and build a road inward by which his soul powers could travel into his objective way of life. Man was therefore a link between soul power and nature, and through him constantly a superior energy was moving into expression on the material plane of life. As he
Alright, here we go. I got some else real quick. Let's see what it do. I got music. Hold on. Let me turn this on.
Blood quantum is complicated, controversial, and personal. We're going to cover the basics of blood. Blood quantum is complicated, controversial, and personal. We're going to cover the basics of blood quantum to help you better understand its history and impacts on Native people and nations. First, what is blood quantum? Blood quantum is a non-native construct that refers to the amount of so-called Indian blood an individual has. A person's blood quantum appears as a fraction. This fraction is calculated based on that person's family tree, going back to original census rolls taken by the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Many Native nations use blood quantum to determine who can and cannot become a citizen. For example, some tribal constitutions require members to have 1/4 or more blood quantum from their specific nation. If someone's blood quantum is lower than 1/4, they are not eligible to become a citizen. You might be wondering about the origins of blood quantum. Before colonization, Native nations used various forms of lineal descent to determine membership. The concept of blood quantum first appeared in the 18th century. White settlers imposed blood quantum as a way to limit the rights of Native people. Later, the federal government used blood quantum as a way to break up Native lands into individual plots. Blood quantum did not play a role in determining tribal citizenship until the 1934 passage of the Indian Reorganization Act, also known as the IRA. The IRA encouraged Native nations to adopt written constitutions using template language provided by the Bureau of Indian Affairs. During this time, many Native nations moved to constitutions with blood quantum requirements. Today, Native nations are considering their blood quantum rules as they look toward the future. Blood quantum is controversial. There are many opinions on the topic within Indian country. Blood quantum advocates worry about the potential losses of resources, land, and culture. For example, they feel concerned that relaxed blood quantum rules may result in rapid population growth, making scarce resources more scarce. Those who'd like to end blood quantum or loosen blood quantum rules worry about survival. Studies show that some Native nations could soon see large population declines due to blood quantum rules. Blood quantum opponents also point to the arbitrary nature of the original quantum calculations.
Exactly.
They mention that blood quantum has non-indigenous roots and can strain families. The most important thing to know about blood quantum: Native nations are sovereign, independent nations. They have the final say when it comes to decisions about blood quantum and citizenship. To learn more about blood quantum, visit nativegov.org.
That makes sense. That makes sense, though.
He conceived and considered these values. He also had to look within himself to some degree. And when we look inside, we find a variety of things. One of the most natural discoveries is weakness. We observe as we look in that our incentives are not integrated, that our purposes are not clear even to ourselves. We observe, as St. Paul so well noted, that when we would do good, evil is ever nigh unto us.
Right.
We find not sufficient integration to permit us to make clear and courageous decisions. We find ourselves always wanting to do better and always continuing to do what we have done. We know, we get up in the morning and we say, today I'm going to really accomplish something.
Right.
By evening, even the accomplishment itself is forgotten. So we start again with our eternal resolution. And each resolution coming upon some obstacle or meeting the devitalizing circumstance of confusion loses the name of action. It becomes obvious then to the thoughtful person that the self-directive in man is either so obscured that it cannot function, or else has not been sufficiently energized so that it may take leadership and direct us in the way that we should go. There are two schools, of course, relating to the nature of the soul and its place in this compound of ours. According to one concept, essentially religious, the soul is always sufficient, but man fails the soul. He permits so much disorganization to remain in himself. He retards so completely the pattern of his higher and most purposeful activities that the soul simply, frankly, does not have a chance. It never is given leadership because it is never recognized. Like an electoral body attempting to appoint executives, the soul is confused and involved in the politics of daily living. Sometimes we wonder how it happens that our mundane governmental affairs go badly. We wonder why certain persons are elected to office and how a democratic structure such as ours can be so indifferent as to the caliber of its leaders. But we do the same thing in ourselves, or else we would not do it in the world around us. We are indifferent of our own leadership. We do not support the best in ourselves. We permit executive control to pass from the one leader capable of leading to the lower levels of faculties and propensities which are incapable of vision and incapable of integrated leadership. Because of this compromise, we live in confusion and we die in confusion. and we nearly always gradually develop an acute dissatisfaction. Perhaps this dissatisfaction ultimately presses us on to greater achievement. But often by that time, the years are heavy upon us, and we look back
They ain't missed.
regretfully upon a wasted span of years in which much could be accomplished if we had at the beginning the vision we have at the end. Man, however, is entitled to and capable of a greater psychic integration than he is likely to recognize. This integration must, however, come from some kind of effort. Assuming, as the psychologist tells us, that environment works a great change upon our inner lives.
Hold on, I got something else real quick. Let's get it.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
You know, there were periods of time in our history where people would steal our religious objects and our sacred items. They still do, and loot our graves. There's a law called the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act that was meant to repatriate those stolen items and those stolen ancestors back to tribes so that we could help with our cultural revitalization as well as put our ancestors back to rest. There are still at least 200,000 ancestors in boxes in museums.
Jesus.
That's just in the U.S.
200,000 in museums in the U.S.
Just in the U.S. So our ancestors and our cultural items and religious objects have also been taken all around the world.
Imagine if it was French people. It was 200,000 French people in boxes in museums in the U.S.
And France is one of the worst. So there was just a case recently. The French love to auction our sacred objects for some reason. There was a sacred shield of the Pueblo of Acoma in about 2016 that was being sold at auction in France. And the tribe, the Pueblo, fought and even went to court in France to try to stop that auction and get that item back because there was evidence that it had been stolen in contemporary times. And France said, you don't have standing in our courts. So even though they're considered sovereign or a pseudo-sovereign nation here in the United States, we didn't have standing in the French court and couldn't protect that item this way. So we had to use other means of negotiation and arm twisting. That item has finally been repatriated, but it took about 4 years for that to happen.
So it's finally been brought back.
Yeah, but that's just one case. This happens.
Where is it now?
It's back home at the Acoma Pueblo.
And did they have it on display, or is it?
No, this is a sacred object.
It can't be on display?
Right. These are items that are used for religious purposes. They're protected sacred items. And the association, we were fighting with the Metropolitan Museum of Art last year and the year before because they were displaying items from a private collection that were sacred. One item was even a funerary object, was an item that is never supposed to be seen because it's buried with the ancestor. And it was on display. And without any kind of consultation with the tribes affected, it's horrendous the way we still look at Indian people and our cultures and our practices today. We're still being called heathens. There was an article, I think just last week, there was a religious man saying that we're heathens because we the sage that I gave you, because we burn sage. As one of our medicinal and spiritual practices.
That was the reason why they were calling you heathens?
Yeah, and this was just in an article last week from a Christian group.
Oh. Well,
Yeah, well.
I'm a heathen too to that.
Yes,
We're all heathens.
Yes. What's interesting in these states like Indiana and Ohio, where indigenous peoples have just been removed wholeheartedly, is that tons of archaeologists and other people that like to loot, they have taken so many things out of the ground. There was a case that the FBI actually got a hold of in Indiana, a gentleman by the name of Don Miller, who had a huge ranch house and farm, and it was just full of Native American artifacts, including human remains, and there were even items from other countries that he had looted and taken. And the FBI actually investigated that, and because the man was like 90 years old, they didn't prosecute him, but they were able to take back those items, and through that Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act, they've been consulting with tribes to repatriate those items back. But that looting and collecting in areas like Indiana and Ohio and
Jamie
other places,
actually has it up on the screen here.
Oh, yeah, here it
FBI
is.
finds 2,000 human bones among antiquities seized from man's home. So where did this gentleman get all this stuff? His collection was Native American, including the bone. Tim Carpenter of the FBI told media outlets
Yeah,
that
there
half
it is.
Miller reportedly admitted he'd conducted illegal digging expeditions, but he never faced criminal charges before his death in 2015.
Right.
So this guy was just digging stuff up and just showing it around his house. And there were rules against this?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And
So if it's on land that, say, if he what if he owns a ranch? How does that work? Like if you're
So it's dependent, and a lot of the things that he had, it wasn't clear where he had got it from. He didn't even know, or remember, or keep any records of where he got a lot of the items. So our laws are really screwy with this too. So federal and tribal lands are protected. So public lands, parks, and tribal lands are protected lands. You can't go and dig in federal or tribal lands without a permit, among other things. But just in state private lands, it's really dependent on what the state laws are, and it's really inconsistent whether those whether looting is protected or not.
and
Looting.
so that's where it's interesting, because there's a lot of gigantic ranches in Texas that are privately owned that were originally Native American hunting grounds. There's ones that a friend of mine has hunted on, that they have these pictographs. You go inside these caves, and this is on private land. Someone owns this. You go inside these caves, and there's ancient artwork all over the walls of the cave. And signs of fire, like, soot on the ceiling of the cave where they lit campfires.
Come
Like
on.
this should probably be some sort of a historical site.
Right, and it's usually not protected, and people get real angry when Indians try to get involved in where there may be development that will have an effect on a burial site, a sacred site, or other type of site. People really get angry, and so it's really hard for tribes to work to protect these areas, work to learn about what the areas are even about. There's been so much amateur archaeology, and this whole country was founded on amateur archaeology. Let's dig up, look at what we found in this grave. Everyone was looking for gold and other special things, and oftentimes they just took whatever was in the grave and created the antiquities art market, which still is all over the world today. So the association is constantly looking at auctions and trying to return items that private collectors have obtained improperly. We just got a human vertebra removed from a U.S. auction just a couple of weeks ago. They were selling it because they said it had an arrow point still in, so that has value, in some markets.
And they had done DNA on this to prove that
they were selling it as a Native American vertebra. It was from a collector in Massachusetts.
Well, how could they prove that it wasn't just a settler that was killed by an arrow?
Right. I don't know. And
So
that's
who
the
gets
thing
it?
about trying to work with auctions and private collectors is they often don't want to work with us because they're trying to make money. So oftentimes items, whether they're religious objects or human remains, they have a story or what's called a provenance associated with them that is often made up to drive the price of the item. So whether that was a legitimate vertebra of a Native American, we don't know because we can't get that collector to talk to us.
So the collector's under no obligation by law to talk to you?
No, that's why we try to send the FBI and our friend Tim Carpenter to them.
So how would they determine? I mean, wouldn't they have to do a DNA analysis of the bones and try to figure out who the person was?
Well, the DNA analysis isn't necessarily going to tell you where it came from. It could tell you that it was Native American.
Would they even be able to get that out of bones?
I don't know, I'm not a scientist, but there was a case really not that long ago called the Kennewick Man case. I don't know if maybe you heard of it. Tribes, and what ended up happening is that academia stepped up and said, hey, wait, this isn't Native American. We think he's something else. And for years, Native Americans fought to get that ancestor, the ancient one, back. And finally, after a court case that deemed the ancestor wasn't Native American, DNA test was done, and it was indeed Native American, and the ancestor was finally repatriated.
Can I ask you how that works? So, listen, you said there's 500 recognized tribes, many more that are unrecognized. Mm-hmm. Who would that go to?
Right. So,
like, say if you won and it's brought back and given to Native Americans, to who and to where?
Right. So let's look at the best case scenario. In a lot of museums have maintained records that may have human remains and associated funerary objects, and have enough information to know where that came from, what site it was located at, what county, what state. And we know from tribal histories as well as federal U.S. Documentation that area was likely affiliated with this tribe or that tribe, or maybe several tribes. And so consultation occurs under that law about those ancestral remains and funerary objects, and it's determined where those items should go back. In the worst case scenario, where there's not any information, oftentimes evidence of who were the collectors that were giving to that institution? What has been the history of the institution, and where has it obtained different collections? And through that, it's deduced who may be affiliated with those items or the ancestors. So it can be a pretty long, drawn-out process. But what's interesting about it is museums and other institutions fought this law for a long time. And they said, well, all of our collections will, we won't be able to fulfill our purpose as a museum or an academic institution to study these things. It's like, well, hell, you haven't studied it in 100 years.
You haven't?
Most of these, when people work to consult with museums, most of these items are in boxes and often poorly managed and maintained.
Damn.
So they're just sitting somewhere in storage.
Right.
So the museum owns it and they're kind of hoarding it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So this Kennewick Man, can you pull up some information about that, Jan?
Story about it right now.
Yeah, great, because I'm forgetting my dates when that happened.
I'm very curious what the dates would be. Now, when we're talking about Native Americans, do you agree with the idea? Okay, let's see here. Kennewick man finally is free.
Oh, they did so much study
Human
on
skeleton
him.
ever found in North America. He's a handsome fellow. Let me see that picture. Looks normal. Imagine you just ran into that guy at 7-Eleven. You're like, what's up, bro? Looks like
He's like, hey,
a modern American, a modern human, I should say. That's the bones, Ferris bones. Oh wow, his rib bones.
Hey.
So what does it give us a date on his what they have? Go to that picture of the teeth again. That's crazy.
So just let me tell you that looking at human remains for many tribal peoples is difficult. It's like looking at a naked body. I mean, it's the essence of someone that we shouldn't be seeing.
Oh, so you shouldn't be seeing even these images?
That should have been in the ground. That should have gone and disappeared. It had a journey. It got interrupted, and some tribes and cultures believe that that's harmful to interact or look at, or just a little bit humiliating. It's exposed, right? So
seeing them on display in a museum is particularly offensive.
Oh God, yeah, and at least in the United States, you won't find that in any kind of public museum. Now, you might in some kind of private institution or private collection.
You do with mummies, right? But with Native American people, they've decided that that's offensive to the culture, so they've removed it. Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's also happening. You're finding in other countries who, in Egypt, for example, and in other cultures, that they're trying to get those back too.
Well, imagine
so
if there was a museum where you can go and look at Ronald Reagan's head. Right?
Some people would probably enjoy that.
For sure, I'd go. But it is one of those things where it's like, oh, okay, I kind of get it, right? So if you have the bones of Sitting Bull on display in some sort of a plexiglass case in a museum, and people are like, oh wow, that's cool. Okay, would that be cool if that was Ronald Reagan? Would that be cool if that was someone from our lifetime that died? What if they had Janis Joplin's head, in a box somewhere, and you can go stare at it? Wouldn't that weird you out? Yes. Or how about Amy Winehouse? How about someone who died? Yeah, see what I'm saying? Yeah, someone who died really recently. It'd be like, what are you doing?
Well, and
maybe we need to look at it that way.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, is that we don't seem to look at Native people in that way. We don't seem to go, oh, that's not okay. Oh, it's not okay to outlaw their religion. Well, how would I feel if someone did that to me, right?
Right.
It's double standard, or I don't know what you call it, but it's just racism.
Yeah, in a way, racism is the right word.
On that note, I'm about to holler at y'all motherfuckers later, though. Yeah, I got some other shit I gotta do, but I'm out. Shit.